This is K1DBC. All stations please stand by. The Denver Radio Club Learning Net starts in 5 minutes. Good evening to everyone here on YouTube. Just getting things set up. A little bit of a different setup, but trying things differently here. So, yes, standing desk, but hopefully shouldn't be much of a distance. So yeah, good evening everyone, and we'll get things started here. This is K1DBC Net Control. All stations please stand by. Pardon me, give me just a minute here. What happened to my script? I messed my script up. Shoot. Sorry about that. This is K1DBC Net Control. The DRC Learning Net will start in 1 minute. All stations, please stand by while the repeaters are placed into net mode.
PL off.
Good evening and welcome back to the Denver Radio Club Learning Net. This is Daron, K1DBC. This is the Denver Radio Club Learning Net, a great place to learn about ham radio and STEM topics in general, and thankfully we have a plenty of combined experience and expertise. I am Net Control. Oop, I am speaking to nobody. Look at that, here we go. This is K1DBC Net Control. Hello and welcome back to the Denver Radio Club Learning Net. It's a great place to learn about ham radio and STEM topics in general, and thankfully we have plenty of combined experience and expertise. I am Net Control. We meet every Wednesday except for the third Wednesday of the month at 7:30 p.m. Mountain Time on 145.490 and 448.625. Both have a negative offset. 2 meter uses negative 600 kilohertz and 70 centimeter uses negative 5 megahertz, meaning you transmit on 144.890 or 443.625 respectively. This net can be broken at any time for emergency or priority traffic by using the word break. Is there any emergency or priority traffic at this time? This is K1DBC Net Control. You can contact us via email at drclearningnet@gmail.com, Elmer at W0TX.org, and we're also on groups.io/g/ham learning nets, and we also stream and archive our nets on YouTube. If you're not there, feel free to check it out. It's all not for profits. I don't make any money on this, and hopefully I'll be able to turn it over to our official YouTube channel, but it's on mine for now, so you can search for our club's call sign, though, W0TX, and you can check in the behind the scenes there, and appreciate that. Why does this keep happening? I have a stupid macro button doing something. Okay. Hey, Rich, I'll get to check in here. This is K1DBC Net Control. Again, we take check-ins via online. We're also, if you want to, experimentally, if you have a digital hotspot and a Brandmeister capable hotspot and or radio, if you want to key up our 310804 talk group, I can see your call sign and get your name from there. So I will be monitoring that. We also will be taking check-ins. Let me see here. What else? If you'd like to help with net control duties, you're more than welcome to chime in and let me know. With that, though, this is K1DBC Net Control. We will begin by inviting Elmers only to check in with or without traffic. All Elmers, please check in now.
Alpha 0, Juliet Kilo. AA0JK, Fred and Arvada, good evening, with traffic.
Kilo, Bravo 0, Alpha, Mike, Juliet, Clyde in Arvada.
All right, this is K1DBC Net Control. We'll go ahead and hold up there for just a moment. This is K1DBC Net Control. I'd like to welcome knowledge the following check-ins. We had AA0JK Fred, Elmer check-ins with traffic, and then we had a KB0AMJ Clyde. We also had a check-in online, N0FAK Rich. So once more, we'll take check-ins for Elmers only, with or without traffic. All Elmers, please check in now. All right, with that, this is K1DBC Net Control. We'll go ahead and open up for regular check-ins. All other check-ins will be taken in alphabetical groups based on the first letter of the suffix of the operator's call sign. That would be the first letter after the number in your call sign. If you can, please try to use I2 phonetics for your call sign at least as you check in, and indicate if you have any traffic or questions as you do. If your suffix begins with the letters A through M, alpha through Mike, please check in now.
WD0CIV, Charles in Denver. No traffic.
Kilo 6 Hotel Juliet Victor, K6HJB Tom Arvada, no traffic.
November 0 Echo Yankee Zulu, Jim in South Jeffco, no traffic. Alpha Fox 0 Echo, Alex Bromfield.
All right, this is K1DBC Net Control. We'll go ahead and hold up there for just a moment. This is K1DBC Net Control. I'd like to welcome and allow the following check-ins. WD0CIV Charles, K6HJV Tom, N0EYZ Jim, KB3 VCU. We had check-in online. Good to see you back. I think we've seen you once before. That's awesome. We had AF0E Alex and KF0AWC Brian. Thank you all so much for checking in. This is K1DBC Net Control. Once more, we'll take call suffixes alpha through Mike, A through M. Please check in now with your name, call sign, and phonetics, and let us know if you have any traffic or questions. Please call now.
Kilo Foxtrot 0, Foxtrot Papa India, Ron in Lakewood.
All right, and that time we had KF0 FPI Ron, Net Control. I'd like to welcome and acknowledge you. Thank you so much for the check-in. We'll go ahead and take all call suffixes, all A through Z, Alpha through Zulu. If you'd like to check into the Denver Radio Club Ham Learning Net just for the counter, if you have any traffic or questions, please call now.
Kilo Echo 0, November Romeo Echo, Jim in Littleton with traffic.
Whiskey Alpha 4, Mike Bravo Golf, Bob in Aurora, no traffic.
November 0, Tango Romeo Papa Jim in Lakewood. Good evening.
Kilo 0, Yankee Echo Sierra, Ken in Broomfield.
Kilo 0, Kilo Papa Sierra, Kevin Lakewood, no traffic.
All right, this is K1DBC Net Control. We'll go ahead and hold up there for just a moment. Net Control, I'd like to welcome knowledge of the following check-ins. KE0NRE Jim with traffic, WA4MBG Bob, N0TRP Jim, K0YES Ken, and K0KPS Kevin. I did also see that ping on there on the 310804 KPS, so thanks for that as well. So we'll see if that has any traction, but not. So this is K1DBC Net Control. Once more, if your call suffix begins with the letters A through Z, Alpha through Zulu, we're taking all call suffixes for the Denver Radio Club Ham Learning Net, general Q&A about ham radio, STEM, STEAM, etc., etc. So please call in with your call sign, your name, and let us know if you have any traffic or questions. Please call now.
Kilo Alpha 0, Victor Bravo Alpha, KA0 VBA.
W0TX Repeater.
All right, this is K1DBC Net Control. That time we had KA0 VBA Curtis. Thank you so much for checking in. This is K1DBC Net Control. There will be several opportunities to check in officially throughout the net, but if there's ever just a break in a If there's nobody speaking, you're more than happy to check in any given time, really. But I will call for check-ins throughout the net. Again, we are streaming on YouTube. You're more than happy to check that out. Some video behind-the-scenes stuff and just kind of giving some more context to what we're speaking about. So you can search for our club call sign W0TX on YouTube, and you can find it there. So with that, I'll throw it over to Fred, A0JK. The net is yours. Go ahead.
Hey, A0JK, good evening, everyone. Got a good turnout here this evening. Thank you, everyone. And let's see. QST, the February QST is out. And, but the big item here at the home QTH is we got HRO delivered a G90 Zugu software-defined transceiver. So that has me occupied most of the day here playing with that. An amazing little package here. And been playing with the CW mode here all day after we got it all set up. And I am very impressed with the little unit. Small, compact, and it even has a CW reader printout. That's if you've got a good, strong signal here. But pretty slick addition there. And also, it kind of caught my eye was the RST bar on the thing has got a bar on it that averages out the signals for your, so you can give out your signal report. These software-defined radios are pretty amazing. But that's, let's see, anything else here? Oh, yeah. The articles here that are in the new QST magazine, Dave is really doing a great job here. He's got one here that caught my eye, that if you've got any balance or ununs laying around that aren't marked, he goes through with an article here on how to identify that component for your future use. That might come in handy after you collect a few parts up here at the upcoming Hamfest. But anyhow, we're going to turn it back to net control. AA0JK.
All right, AA0JK Fred, this is K1DBC Net Control. All right, looks like that article you're referring to is, by Dave Kastler, KE0OG. Excuse me for a moment. On the PDF edition, page 55 of the February QST, or it looks like the print edition, page 51. Mystery balance, reviving a radio, dipoles, and more. So, question was put out by Jim KG3P of Pennsylvania. He has a commercially made balun in his junk box that was once used. He once used in a while, but the label has faded. He thinks it's either a 1-to-1 or 4-to-1, and so Dave goes into a little bit of an explanation here. So yeah, that's a pretty good looking article here. Let me see if I can maybe quickly summarize that potentially without looking like a something. All right, absolutely. Really quickly. Dave states to place the known resistance across the output terminals of the balun, then connect the antenna analyzer as though you were measuring SWR. They recommend sweeping across a wide section of the 80-meter band. Analyzer will measure and display both resistance and reactance. HF reactance would be below, very low, but they're interested in resistance. Test setup shown here. Figure 1 uses a 100-ohm resistor. On this 4-to-1 balun, we would expect a reading of approximately 25 ohms. Antenna analyzer actually reads 28 ohms, which is close to enough to confirm that the balun is 4-to-1, as indicated on the label. With a 1-to-1 balun, they would expect a reading of approximately equal to the value of the resistance. What is that? You got me all the way up into that last. Let's see. All right, so there's a little bit more in that, but yeah, pretty good articles there. And yeah, as you mentioned, the Zygu G90 is mentioned. I think KE0 has purchased that in the past, and yeah, pretty slick looking radio there, and good for QRP and lots of stuff there. So yeah, plenty of stuff in QRZ edition, and yeah, a lot of stuff. So thank you all for that information there, Fred. All right, this is K1DBC Net Control. Yeah, great information again there, Fred. Appreciate that. With that, we'll throw it over to KE0NRE Jim with traffic. The net is yours. Go ahead.
Thank you, Daron, and thank you for taking the net tonight. I was curious. I don't spend a whole lot of time driving east, either to the eastern part of Colorado or into Kansas, but I was curious about whether, because of the flat geography that you find out there, there are more nets that are done without the use of repeaters, and just wondering how well UHF and VHF signals propagate when there are no hills, few tall buildings, or mountains in the way. And if anybody's got any personal experience with that, and in the use of simplex channels for multi-way communications, I'd love to hear a little bit more about that experience. So back to net, KE0NRE.
W0UUU.
This is K1DBC Net Control. Great question there, NRE. Driving towards east Kansas, do we find that there's more simplex out that way? And what is VHF propagation, UHF propagation over a flatland type area? UUU, I got you checked in, and if you have a follow-up on that, go ahead.
I have a comment on that last question. I used to live out in Woodrow, Colorado, Washington County,
and using the VHF, no problem at all on simplex for about 50, 60 miles. And I could also hit the couple of repeaters up on Squaw Mountain from out there with a standard VHF radio. W0UUU.
All right, W0UUU Bill. Thank you for that follow up there in your former location there, and you were able to communicate 50 to 60 miles over simplex is what it sounded like, and even were able to hit repeaters at Squaw Mountain. So yeah, that's definitely within the range of the mountain region. We're definitely going to have much more accelerated or a much better propagation, I'm guessing, than without, obviously. But yeah, as you drive further out to Kansas or Nebraska, things like that, where it's a bit more flat, you may not have that similar. You won't have access to the same repeaters, but interesting. We'd have to ask some other people, but K0NRE or anybody else on that, go ahead.
NRE here. I was just curious whether there are a lot more simplex nets in other parts of the country as opposed to what we experience here with so many of the nets being performed through repeaters up in the mountains. Back to net, KE0NRE.
All right, this is K1 DBC Net Control. That's a great question there, I guess looking at our net listing and the net listing for a lot of other clubs around here, a lot of the nets definitely are via repeater for sure. There's definitely, you'll have one or two. We have the simplex net on Sundays, or the 6 meter repeat, or no, that's the meter. There's a simplex net on here somewhere, but I wouldn't know too much about that. So I don't know if anybody has any experience just out east or where there's less repeater coverage. Could we hypothesize, or do we think that there's probably more nets via simplex rather than repeaters? Go ahead if anybody has any opinion.
TRP.
Yeah, N0TRP. Jim, go ahead.
This N0TRP. I don't have the answer, but you might, if you're going to be traveling out in Kansas, they have a repeater network out there, similar call connections. It's called K-Link. And if you just hop on one of those repeaters and talk to some of the folks out there, they might be able to assist with that. And that K-Link can be found at, you can Google it or find it at KS as in Sam, 0LNK.net. That'll give you a little map and where the repeaters are and frequencies and stuff. But those folks would be good ones to ask that very question. N0TRP back to net.
All right, N0TRP, this is K1 DBC Net Control. Yeah, thanks for the follow-up there. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, as we mentioned in the past, K-Link repeater network. And I guess these analog repeaters have been around for, I don't know how long we've had them, since the 60s, 70s, at least. I have no idea. But I'd imagine just the proliferation of them, there may be more out than we think, and there may be more interlinked networks like these out there than we think. So, yeah, I don't know if there's any stats out there we could try to find, but I don't know. Anyone else on that? Anybody else have any experience out east or other parts of the country? Did you see more simplex nets or repeater nets? If anybody has any follow-up on that, go ahead. All right, this is K1DBC Net Control. Yeah, there's a lot of things here. Sometimes a lot of this information isn't on the internet. A lot of this stuff is still on the radios and still within different groups and clubs. And so, yeah, as you travel out there, maybe just throw your call sign out there, maybe on a repeater network or simplex, and try to investigate. So, yeah, NRE, if you have any other follow up on that, go ahead.
Well, I appreciate the suggestions. I'll take a look in Kansas and maybe try some other flatland places and see what I can find in terms of simplex nets. I appreciate the advice. KE0NRE back to net.
K0VBA.
All right, this is K1DBC Net Control. It may just not be on their website because they didn't think to put it, but at least the K-Link, they don't have any net listing on there for any of the repeaters on there, so who knows. K0VBA, go ahead.
Yeah, I grew up in southwest Iowa, and simplex-wise, you're lucky to get 20 miles. If you've got some power or some elevation, you can get maybe 30 miles, but it's not, well, that actually was in the days before repeaters. But repeaters don't go much farther than that either, unless they are really high up on some kind of a tower. Now, the other thing is, if you really want to go some distance, you need to get on HF. You can cover the whole state on HF without too much of an antenna. K0VBA.
All right, K0VBA, this is K1DBC Net Control. Thanks for the follow-up on that. Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, I'm just searching on one of the ICARC, Iowa City Amateur Radio Club, and looks like they have a couple of simplex nets on there. So, yeah, we're just really lucky to have such elevated mountain range to increase the amount of coverage really that we have here. So we're quite lucky with that. Yeah, otherwise you really just need man-made objects or whatnot to provide that sort of same coverage. So, good conversation. If anybody else, K0NRE or anybody else has any other follow-up on that, go ahead. All right, this is K1DBC Net Control. Let's see if I had anything else on that. I didn't have much else on that, I guess, at the moment. So I guess at the moment I'll actually just I'll drop and formally take check-ins here. Let me just read the script for that, and we'll go into that. I hate that. Oh, let's put this into viewing. There we go. Let's stop that from happening. This is K1DBC Net Control. If you've just tuned in, my name is Daron. Call sign K1DBC. I'm Net Control for the Denver Radio Club Ham Learning Net. It's a great place to learn about ham radio and STEM topics in general, and we have plenty of combined experience and expertise. If there's anyone who wishes to check in at this time, we're taking all call suffixes A through Z. Please check in now with your call sign in ITU Phonetics if you can. Let us know your name, and if you have any traffic questions, please call now. All right, this is K1DBC Net Control for the Denver Radio Club Ham Learning Net. Once more, I'll take all call signs A through Z. Please call now. All right, this is K1DBC Net Control. As a reminder, as long as the talk group isn't being used, we can try to take check-ins via, if you have a hotspot and access to the DMR repeater, just a DMR hotspot, you can key up and we can take check-ins via that. We're also on YouTube. You can search our call sign W0TX, and we're streaming on there, so you're more than happy to check in on there or whatnot. So one more time at the moment, does anybody else like to check in just at the moment? Please call now. All right, this is K1DBC Net Control for the Denver Radio Club Hamlet Learning Net. What else? I can bring up a couple of things here, but I'll throw it back out to the net. Does anybody else have any other comments, questions, check-ins, anything else you'd like to bring up for this evening's net so far? Please call now.
TRP.
N0TRP, this is K1DBC Net Control. Go ahead.
N0TRP here. I just had a question on receive antennas, receive only for VH, UHF, and even a little higher. Just for an example, does a long wire give you any better reception, say, than on UHF than, say, a ground plane like the Diamond X50A? Is there any advantage or disadvantage to using a long wire or, say, a 20-meter dipole or just a long end-fed half-wave antenna for receiving at UHF frequencies? Is there a better reception or worse using the long wire as opposed to the ground plane tuned for the frequency? Back to net.
N0TRP, this is K1DBC Net Control. I'll probably have to defer to somebody else on that. Is it better to have a long wire antenna versus ground plane for a receive-only VHF, UHF antenna? If anybody knows, has any opinions on that, please call now.
JK.
Yeah, AZ or JK. Fred, go ahead.
Yes, proverbial beverage antenna. I couldn't. I've never seen where one of them is better than one of the other antennas there that you mentioned. But a beverage antenna that's resonant for the band that you are using, I would think would be a good performer. But make note of resonant antenna, not just a piece of wire thrown out there at some random length. It's important there for best performance that antenna be resonant for the frequency that you're going to be using it on. But I don't think I haven't had any experience along that line with just running just the beverage antenna and comparing it with, say, a vertical antenna or a dipole. So some experimentation there due. But a good resonant antenna, regardless of whether it's just a beverage antenna cut to the wavelength or a vertical or dipole, I don't think you're going to see a whole lot of difference. A0JK.
Okay, thanks. I appreciate it very much. N0TRP, back to net.
All right, N0TRP, this is K1DBC Net Control. Yeah, thank you again there, Fred A0JK, for all your good information there. Yeah, we'll have to maybe try to dig up a little bit of a comparison there. But if anybody has had an opportunity to compare, as Fred mentioned, a beverage versus a dipole versus vertical type antenna for receive only, any better or worse resonance, let us know. Please hold on.
HJV.
Yeah, K6HJV. Tom, go ahead.
Yeah, this is Tom, K6HJV. There's a couple other things to consider when you're dealing with the higher frequencies, VHF or UHF bands. I have a lot of fun on 6 meters. I have two different antennas for 6 meters. I have a vertical, and then I have a horizontal. And depending on what I want to do, I can hear and talk to people using the vertical. I switch over to the horizontal. If they're not horizontal, they will usually not hear me. And that's even more acute once you get up on the higher frequencies on 2 or 1.25 meters, where I have a lot more fun up there playing with the Ukrainian converter for 222. So you got to consider not only the antenna and its resonance, but you also have to consider the polarization. I'll go right along with Fred. Your antenna should be resonant for the frequencies that you want to use. And once you get up into the higher frequencies, you can cover several megahertz with a vertical or even with some of the horizontals that are out there. Hopefully that gives you a little more to chew on. Back to you, Jerome, K6HJV, clear.
TRP.
All right, thank you, K6HTV, for the follow-up there. Yeah, N0TRP, go ahead.
That's N0TRP. Yeah, thank you very much, Tom. I appreciate that. I just was momentarily forgetting about the polarity. That's critical at the higher frequencies. So, again, thanks much, all. I appreciate it. N0TRP, back to net.
All right, sounds good there, N0TRP. Yeah, glad we could have some follow-up on that. Yeah, appreciate everyone's follow-up on that for sure. This is K1DBC Net Control. Does anybody else have any other follow-up to that conversation or anything else we've spoken about so far this evening, or any other comments, questions, or check-ins? Please call now.
KA0VBA again.
Yes, of course, KA0VBA. Curtis, go ahead.
At UHF and VHF, the most important thing is height above average terrain. That's the one thing that matters. If you get down into HF, 80 meters or 40 meters, well then the most thing is skywave propagation. And if you're interested in that kind of thing, you should study up and get yourself a general. KA0VBA.
All right, KA0VBA. Yeah, that's a good point as well. Yeah, above all else, for sure. Height above, average height above everything else definitely makes a huge factor in terms of propagation or whatnot. So yeah, good follow up there as well. This is K1DBC Net Control for the Denver Radio Club Ham Learning Net. Does anybody else have any other comments, questions, check-ins, any traffic, anything else you'd like to bring up for this evening's net so far? Please call now.
W0TX repeater.
All right, this is K1DBC Net Control. Again, I can bring up some articles or news from recent times, and we can throw it back to the net. But just at the moment, does anybody else have any other comments, questions, check-ins, or anything else you'd like to bring up so far? Please go now.
JK?
Yeah, A0JK, Fred, go ahead.
Yeah, okay, yeah. I've got G90 on the brain here today, so going back to that topic, this was a real bargain. HRO had it on sale for $440. This is a bargain for that price. Great radio for grab and go, for camping or hiking. Small, really compact, and those who are into the digital modes, you could tone it down a little bit, turn the power down a little bit, to where you're not splattering over everybody there on the digital modes. Turn the power down on it, and it makes an excellent digital radio there for those who like the digital modes. Today we were chasing the straight key Century Club stations, special event stations, but also for anyone that doesn't want to be running high power, say if you're in an apartment complex or a close quarter community, there the lower power is ideal, and you don't have to shell out quite as much money for a rig. This would get you on the air. AA0JK, back to net control.
All right, A0JK, Fred, this is K1DBC Net Control. Yeah, another great review so far of this radio. So, yeah, the software-defined radio and just the digital capabilities. Yeah, definitely, it's a pretty bargain value compared to the offerings we've had even just 5 years ago, even just a few years ago, really. So, yeah, things have thankfully come down from the quadruple digits, triple digits, or whatnot, and come down in price and coming down, and we're seeing much more available products available. So yeah, great radio. It really cool. All right, this is K1DBC Net Control. Yeah, Zygu G90, another great bargain. Right now, it's $440 over at Ham Radio Outlet. So yeah, definitely scoop that up if you like. So normally $449. So a little bit of discount there. So very cool. All right, this is K1DBC Net Control. Anybody else have any other comments, questions, check-ins, anything else you'd like to bring up so far for the net? Please call now. All right, this is K1DBC Net Control. I can pass a couple things, but I'll throw it once back out to the net. Does anybody have any other comments, questions, check-ins, or anything else so far for the net? Please call now. All right. Recent news, not necessarily amateur radio related, but definitely using a lot of telemetry and a lot of experience, a lot of years. Obviously, as the James Webb Space Telescope was successfully deployed late December and or mid-December, whenever it was, and it's in its current flight to Lagrange Point 2, and it's 18 sols, if you will, 18 days into its 30-day journey. So it is, yeah, really, really cool stuff. There are no optical telescopes, I believe, on it, and there's no cameras on it. This is all, I believe, all radio telescope based. So I think, well, maybe I'm talking out of my butt here. So really, really cool stuff. We're going to see a lot of cool stuff, a lot of things coming out of this. So James Webb Space Telescope, congrats to NASA, James, and all the other agencies that were a part of that. So really, really cool stuff. And hopefully over the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years, we'll see science coming out of it that helps to explain some of our oldest questions. All right, this is K1DBC Net Control. Pretty interesting article here over on arl.org/news titled 8 Satellite TEVL Mission to Launch on January 13th. So tomorrow. Its mission consists of 8 satellites carrying amateur radio FM transponders, 1525 UTC on the SpaceX Falcon 9 Transporter 3. It's also carrying AMSAT Spain's EA Sat-2 and Hades satellite. TEVL satellites were developed by the Herzliya Science Center in Israel. All satellites will use the same frequency as long as their footprints overlap, and only one FM transponder will be activated at a time. Beacon transmissions on 436.40 using BPSK and 145.970. Some uplink and downlink transponders here. So really, really cool stuff, and yeah, really neat projects, satellites to see here. All right, this is K1DBC Net Control. Let's see what else here. Speaking of space and satellites, another article here titled 8 U.S. Schools and Organizations Could Host Ham Radio Contacts with Space Station Crew. It looks like ARIS is... they have announced the schools and organizations hoping to host contact with ISS. Let's see here. Eaton Public Library in Eaton, Colorado, a local contender here. I don't know if all 8 are going to be chosen or if it's just going to be one of these. 8 of the proposals submitted during the recent proposal window have been accepted to move forward. Primary goal of ARIS is to engage people in STEM and STEAM, raise awareness of space communications, radio communications, space exploration related. Final selection pending on the receipt by ARIS of an acceptable equipment plan that demonstrates their ability to execute the ham radio contact. We have science centers and libraries from New Jersey, Colorado, Michigan, Texas, North Carolina, New York, Tennessee, and Florida. So really, really cool opportunities here, and hopefully, we get to see something out of that. I know we've had a previous contact as well, ARIS. I think at least 1 or 2 contacts here from Colorado. So really cool opportunity for these youth. All right, just looking at that, Eaton is up north, so that's probably going to be like the RM Ham Group or NCARC, something like that. It looks like they're definitely I'm sure well-versed and well-trained, and maybe EOSS will get involved. So, yeah, really, really cool stuff. So if you have any hand in that, let us know, and we'd love to hear back on that.
W0TX Repeater.
All right, this is K1DBC Net Control for the Denver Radio Club Ham Learning Net. Does anybody else have any comments, questions, check-ins, anything else you'd like to bring up for this evening's net so far? Please call now. All right, this is K1DBC Net Control. I just skipped over something, but it's quite important. The ARL is surveying for field day participants, and A survey was sent out if you're an ARL member to your division, and should have been emailed to you as well. Or it looks like they have a survey link on their webpage here. Looks like it's a public link. So asking about your call sign, what section, power output, and just general kind of engagement. Voice your opinion and let them know they want to see if they want to continue on the rules that they've had for the last few years due to outbreak, and we'll see what comes from that. But please keep Field Day in mind, June 26th or 20th, fourth weekend of June. So this week, this month, or this year, excuse me, it's going to be. Let me bring this up here. June 25th and 26th. So it sneaks up on us pretty quick, and we can use all the help that we can get. So whether you're part of our club or any other club, don't hesitate to help out and begin the planning stages, because there's a lot to do. This is K1DBC Net Control. I'll throw it out to the net. Does anybody else have any comments, questions, check-ins, or anything else so far from the net? Please call now. All right, this is K1DBC Net Control. A couple of news articles here over from rtl-sdr.com if you have any interest in software-defined radio. This is a project we've spoken about before, a crowd-funded project, Caribou Lights. They've successfully completed their crowdfunding phase with over 600 backers and a total of $134,000 raised, so that's really awesome. It is... campaign has ended. The pricing is going to be $140. If you haven't heard of it, it's a software-defined radio. I forget the term. We keep calling them HAP, but it's just something you would put onto a Raspberry Pi. It just slots right on it. It's a 30 megahertz to 6 gigahertz tuning range, 13-bit analog digital converter, 2.5 megahertz bandwidth, and 1 transmit and 1 receive channel. So it is a software-defined transceiver, probably in the QRP milliwatt range. I don't know specifically, but $140. Pretty cool project. Really neat. All right, another article here. Just below that, really cool looking thing here, titled Receiving X-band Images from the Arktika M1 Arctic Monitoring Satellite. The X-band is 8 gigahertz to 12 gigahertz. Recently on Twitter, Arved had tweeted that he had successfully received images from the Russian Arctic monitoring satellite known as Arktika M1 via its X-band downlink at, this is 7 gigahertz, 7,865 megahertz, 7.8 gigahertz. They reached out. He's provided following information on his SEP and receiving decoding images. So it's a very similar to NOAA or other weather satellites. Blanking on the term here. Anyway, many countries have their own satellites, and this is just another one of them. And this is high resolution images of the Earth. I think it's a weather satellite, though. I have to look that up. I don't know that for sure. Often that's what these are. Russian weather satellite, which operates in a high Earth orbit. It was launched February 2021. It has downlinks on multiple bands. Main payload downlink for the imagery is on 7.8 gigahertz, also known as the lower X-band. Satellite only transmits imagery on the X-band. They think that it also has L-band capability as well, but they don't think it'll ever transmit any image data. L-band is going to be 1 to 2 gigahertz, it looks like, or so, potentially. So, amateur reception that he has access to the X-band RF gear. Consists of low noise pre-amplifier and a down converter to convert 7865 megahertz down to a lower frequency for easy reception with a high bandwidth SDR such as Lime SDR, USRP, etc. their personal setup, they have a surplus preamp made by Mytek, around 336 dB of gain, 1 dB of noise floor, self-made compact X-band down converter, and Lime SDR USB. A little bit more on that here. L-band gear. So he's mentioning the. This is looking at his photo here. The L-band gear is mounted on top. Helix and preamp behind it. The X-band gear is right below it. This is pretty interesting to describe what it looks like here. It looks like maybe a like an antenna mast, like aluminum pole, with quite a bit of rigging on it, as he's mentioned, a preamplifier, and it looks like something right out of a sci-fi movie. But down converter, LNA, satellite transmits every 15 minutes. Once it reaches its apogee, each transmission, including the idle period, lasts for about 10 minutes. Some pictures of the idle transmission and the actual data can be found in the images he has here of the waterfall. So again, it's all up to us as citizens. We can perform citizen science. We've heard a lot of these amateur scientists who are tracking down satellites, some dead satellites and things like that, and a lot of people trying to figure out how to get into these weather satellites and receive the images and get the information provided from them, and we can utilize the resources that our states and governments provide. So really, really cool stuff here. This is K1DBC Net Control. I'll throw it out to the net. Does anybody else have any comments, questions, check-ins, anything else you'd like to throw out to the net so far? Please call now. All right, this is K1DBC Net Control. Normally we end in just a few minutes here, but there's no hard stop. But I'm trying to see if I have any other last-minute things I can pass here, but I'll throw it out to the net. Anybody else have any other comments, questions, check-ins? Anything else for this evening's net? Please call now. All right, this is K1DBC Net Control. I don't have much else more for this evening, but seems like a fitting time to start maybe wrapping things up here. So I guess I'll cover some club business here, and I'll throw it back out to the net here in just a moment, and we'll go from there. Next club presentation is going to be January 19th, 7 p.m. next Wednesday. Antenna Auto Tuners, presented by John Portune, W6NBC. Big member in the community, we've had presentations about him in the past. So good explanations about antenna tuners, whether you're using an internal built-in tuner or an external one. We'll give you a lot of information on that. So again, next Wednesday, 7 p.m. Mountain Time. It takes place online, W0TX.org for more info, meet.google link, and an hour prior to that, we have the Elmers session, which is very similar to this evening's net, just a very general Q&A about ham radio, electronics, things like that, show and tell, so please check that out as well. All right, I don't have much else for this evening's net, but I'll throw it out to the club, or the group here. Does anybody else have any other final comments, questions, check-ins, anything else you'd like to bring up for this evening's net? Please call now.
JK.
Yeah, A0JK. Fred, go ahead.
Yeah, like I mentioned earlier, I got J90 on the brain here this evening. But just wanted to make a note here that I forgot to mention, is that this little transceiver has a built-in impedance matching network, so you don't have to have an external tuner. So It's all built in. You just punch the button, and I swear this thing would load up a beer can. Pretty impressive. It loads up about anything. Very, very effective, but quite a package here all in one. So back to net control, AA0JK.
All right, sounds good there, Fred. A0JK, another accolade there for that that radio. If there wasn't any other reason, there's even one more. So, yeah, really, really cool stuff there. All right, this is Daron K1DBC Net Control. Anything else for this evening's net? Please call now.
JK.
Yeah, A0JK, Fred, go ahead.
Yeah, really looking forward to this upcoming meeting here next weekend with our guest speaker. Everybody be prepared to present any questions that you may have on tuning circuits. There's a lot of misnomers out there concerning impedance matching, and despite the fact that this is a transmatch, not an antenna tuner, it's a transmatch, an impedance matching device. Used to call them a matchbox, and probably still should be, because it's matching up the impedance so that your transmitter sees that 50 ohm load. So there's a lot of misconceptions about it. The matchbox and the marketing people, they went and slapped the title of their antenna tuner onto it. I guess that they didn't understand what a transmatch was. But hopefully you'll have some questions here for the guest speaker, because it seems to be a widely discussed topic. So we're looking forward to it. AA0JK.
All right, AA0JK, Fred. Yeah, a lot of great information will be available there. A lot of knowledge. So yeah, definitely take advantage of that, and yeah, definitely be glad to see people there. Very cool. All right, this is Daron K1DBC Net Control. I think with that, we'll wrap things up. Definitely appreciate everyone being here this evening. Appreciate all the presence on YouTube. Hopefully here in the near future, I'll be able to get a shorter way for you guys to get to it. But for now, you can search on YouTube for our club's call sign W0TX. We're on groups.io/G/ham learning net. This is a community effort, so it's for everybody. You're more than happy. It's a two-way conversation. You can post information on there. Ask any questions you want on there. We have Elmer at W0TX Elmer at W0TX.org. DRC Learning Net at gmail.com. Don't hesitate to jump on the air, or let us know if you have any questions, or if you want to act as net control or guest Elmer. This is K1DBC Net Control. Let me drop here for a moment. Tonight we had a total of 19 check-ins. Really appreciate everybody checking in over the air, online, however you did. Appreciate that. What else? Again, yeah, next week will be our club meeting, 7 p.m. Again, W0TX.org for more info on that. Everyone is welcome to that. So with that, all stations, please stand by while the repeaters are placed into normal mode.
PL on.
All right, this is K1DBC 7-3 to all. Glad to hear everybody on the air. Hopefully everybody's doing well, and we are in a new year, and we'll go from there. So again, 7-3 to all, and everyone take care. I'm clear. All right, everyone, thanks again for being here on YouTube. Appreciate that. If you ever have any comments or questions, don't hesitate to let me know. But with that, I will probably close things out. Yeah, I don't have much else, so just been busy with work and whatnot. So yeah, if you ever have any questions, if you ever want to help out on YouTube stuff, on the groups.io, with the Learning Net, with the field day, with club stuff, definitely don't hesitate to let us know, and we'll go from there. So again, thanks everyone for being here, and yeah, we'll go from there. All right, have a good evening.
NBC Television.